National Electrical Code Section 210.19 states that conductors shall not be smaller than the branch circuit conductor size. This directly prohibits the use of number 14 wire on a 20 amp branch circuit. The fundamental reason for this rule lies in the protection that a circuit breaker provides. A 20 amp breaker is specifically designed to protect number 12 wire, which is rated to safely carry 20 amps of current. If number 14 wire, which is only rated for 15 amps, is used on a 20 amp circuit, the breaker will not provide adequate protection. In an overload situation, where the current exceeds 15 amps but remains below 20 amps, the number 14 wire could overheat. This overheating poses a significant risk of fire or other electrical hazards because the breaker will not trip until the current exceeds its 20 amp rating. The only exception to this rule involves fixture wires, which are sometimes permitted to be one size smaller than the branch circuit conductor. However, it is crucial to understand that fixture wires are specifically designed for use within lighting fixtures and are not intended for general outlet circuits. Therefore, this exception does not apply to standard receptacle or lighting circuits in a residential setting. In the described scenario, the contractor's practice of transitioning to number 14 wire after the first outlet on a 20 amp circuit is a clear violation of the National Electrical Code. The number 14 wire downstream of the initial outlet will not be properly protected by the 20 amp breaker. To ensure compliance and safety, the entire circuit, including the section wired with number 14 wire, must be rewired using number 12 wire. This will guarantee that the circuit is adequately protected against overloads and short circuits, minimizing the risk of electrical fires and other hazards. It is crucial for electrical contractors and homeowners alike to adhere to these code requirements to maintain the safety and integrity of electrical systems. Using the correct wire gauge for the intended circuit amperage is a fundamental principle of electrical safety. In practical terms, consider a scenario where a homeowner plugs in multiple appliances on a circuit wired in this manner. If the combined current draw of these appliances exceeds 15 amps, the number 14 wire will begin to overheat. Because the breaker is rated for 20 amps, it will not trip, and the wire will continue to heat up, potentially melting the insulation and creating a fire hazard. By using number 12 wire throughout the entire circuit, the wire can safely handle the full 20 amps of the breaker's capacity, providing a much greater margin of safety. Furthermore, using the correct wire gauge ensures that the voltage drop along the circuit is within acceptable limits. When a wire is undersized, it can lead to excessive voltage drop, which can cause appliances to malfunction or operate inefficiently. This is because the smaller wire offers more resistance to the flow of current, resulting in a lower voltage at the outlets further down the circuit. By using the appropriate wire gauge, the voltage drop is minimized, ensuring that all appliances receive the correct voltage for optimal performance. In addition to the safety and performance benefits, using the correct wire gauge also ensures compliance with insurance requirements. If an electrical fire occurs as a result of improper wiring, insurance companies may deny coverage if the wiring does not meet code standards. Therefore, it is essential to follow all applicable electrical codes and regulations to protect your home and property. To summarize, using number 14 wire on a 20 amp circuit is a dangerous and code-violating practice. The 20 amp breaker will not adequately protect the smaller wire, and it can lead to overheating, fire hazards, and other electrical problems. The entire circuit must be wired with number 12 wire to ensure compliance with the National Electrical Code and to provide a safe and reliable electrical system. Always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about electrical wiring. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to leave it to the professionals. By taking the necessary precautions and following all applicable codes and regulations, you can help to protect your home and family from electrical hazards. Understanding the rationale behind these code requirements is crucial for making informed decisions about electrical wiring. It is not simply a matter of following rules blindly, it is about understanding the underlying principles of electrical safety and ensuring that your electrical system is properly designed and installed. Firstly, ensure compliance with National Electrical Code Section 210.19. which explicitly prohibits the use of wire smaller than the branch circuit conductor size. Secondly, recognize that a 20 amp breaker is designed to protect number 12 wire, rated to carry 20 amps, while number 14 wire is only rated for 15 amps. Thirdly, be aware that using number 14 wire on a 20 amp circuit will not provide the same level of protection, potentially leading to overheating and fire hazards in an overload. Fourthly, understand that the exception for fixture wires does not apply to general outlet circuits. Fifthly, take note that the entire circuit, including the number 14 wire section, must be rewired with number 12 wire for proper protection. Sixthly, be aware of potential voltage drop issues when using undersized wire, which could affect appliance performance. Seventhly, note that insurance coverage may be denied in the event of an electrical fire caused by non-compliant wiring. Eighthly, consult with a qualified electrician for any electrical work or concerns. Ninthly, prioritize electrical safety to protect your home and family. Tenthly, remember that following electrical codes is not just about compliance, but about ensuring a safe and reliable electrical system. In addition, let's think about the practical implications of ignoring these codes. Imagine a homeowner who, unknowingly, has a circuit wired with a combination of number 12 and number 14 wire. They plug in a space heater, a television, and a lamp into outlets on this circuit. The combined current draw of these appliances exceeds 15 amps, but remains below 20 amps. The number 14 wire, being undersized for the load, begins to heat up. Over time, the insulation on the wire starts to melt, creating a potential short circuit. If the short circuit occurs, the 20 amp breaker will eventually trip, but only after the number 14 wire has already been damaged and potentially ignited surrounding materials. In a worst case scenario, this could lead to a house fire, causing significant damage and endangering lives. By contrast, if the circuit were properly wired with number 12 wire throughout, the wire would be able to handle the combined current draw without overheating, and the risk of fire would be significantly reduced. This example illustrates the importance of adhering to electrical codes and using the correct wire gauge for the intended circuit amperage. It is not worth taking the risk of using undersized wire, even if it seems like a minor shortcut. The consequences can be severe. Furthermore, it is important to consider the long-term effects of using undersized wire. Over time, the repeated heating and cooling of the wire can cause the insulation to degrade, making it more susceptible to damage and increasing the risk of electrical problems. This can lead to costly repairs and potentially dangerous situations. By using the correct wire gauge from the outset, you can avoid these long-term problems and ensure that your electrical system remains safe and reliable for years to come. In addition to the technical aspects of wire gauge and circuit protection, it is also important to consider the legal and ethical implications of electrical work. Electrical contractors have a responsibility to ensure that all work is performed in accordance with applicable codes and regulations. Failure to do so can result in fines, penalties, and even the loss of their license. Moreover, it is unethical to cut corners or take shortcuts that could compromise the safety of others. The electrical work should always be performed with the utmost care and attention to detail, with the goal of creating a safe and reliable electrical system. Homeowners also have a responsibility to ensure that any electrical work performed on their property is done by a qualified and licensed electrician. It is not advisable to attempt electrical work yourself unless you have the necessary training and experience. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to leave it to the professionals. By hiring a qualified electrician, you can be sure that the work will be done correctly and in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations.